Hi there, guys. God bless you, and thank you for joining us yet again. Got an interesting article coming out from ukreloaded.com. This one is officially titled 18 Ways to Die. I did not want to bum you out that much, so I retitled it How We Lost Respect for Life from Birth to Death and Beyond. Going to be looking at this from a few angles. This particular article looks at such things as euthanasia, the medical assistance in dying, the abortion, as well as the depopulation agenda, what 5G is doing to us, the weaponizing of the food and the water and the weather, all against us when it comes to the poisons that are put into our foods, etc. So got quite a lot to share with you today. As always, guys, what we have in the morning is our read all about it section, and then our you can read all about it, where you get 20 or so, or sometimes even 30 if we do the extra sort of like front page headlines there for you, just to start you off on your day. And I've got a little bit of housekeeping that I want to sort of like crack on with just before we do this. Guys, as you've seen, just in relation to the sort of like subjects that we're going to be covering today in our live, I've put a few sort of like videos there. You can go and clicking in the top chat. If you're watching this a bit later, you may have to wait until the next day for them to be there, but just some other visuals just to sort of like confirm what it is. So going to be looking at this from a few angles, going to be bringing in, to you some headlines relating to what we're going to be talking about, to give you a bit of a refresh and to bring all of this thing back to your remembrance, as well as some other things that I've prepared as well. Okay. Little bit of housekeeping. I'm tapping out over here, man. I'm telling you, I'm tapping out. God bless my dear friend who emailed me today. They were basically saying that on the 6th of December, sorry, the 10th of December, my apologies, the 10th of December, Australia are going to be having to submit proof of identity in the forms of digital ID, their passport, the facial record, everything. They're going to have to give that in order to even access YouTube, in order to access Google, and also to access Rumble as well. So they're literally having the screw being turned on them. It only took a year from rollout until it was all sort of like made a compulsory and a necessity in order to access social media contents and even doing an internet search. We have covered some of that over the period of time, guys, have we not, in some of our videos, looking at some of the tyrannies down under. I've got a heart for my Australian brothers and my Australian sisters. Always have. I've got a heart for everybody, really, unless you're part of the B system, in which case I want you to die a very painful death. I'm just saying it. Okay, I'm not a big fan of those guys, but what we have done, guys, is we've returned to Telegram. Okay, I thought just when they just there's that sort of like, Godfather bit, is it? Just when I thought that I was out, they just pulled me right back on in, and that's literally what's happened. Australians can get Telegram for some, sort of like weird reason that they're able to have that and access it. I'm not sure how they're doing the workarounds, but I've set up another sort of like Telegram channel. Before, guys, there was like 12,000 articles, end time articles. It was a real library and a bit of a sort of like knowledge-based fest for you, as well as loads of videos, loads and loads of memes and pictures and imagery. So I'm going to be doing that again as part of our other ministry. So we still have Rumble, which has 930 sort of like videos there. Why is that one sort of like gone red? I've got one of my videos here that's just gone red, and I don't know why. I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe that's just like being blocked. I'm not entirely sure. Okay. So that's one of the videos. The second one I put in was that the British MPs have voted for state-sanctioned murder when it comes to Kim Ledbetter's euthanasia bill. Don't know why that one has got some sort of like a red border on the side of it. Maybe it's not preventing you from seeing that. I don't know. I'll have to explore that at another time. So That's basically the drill. One of the reasons why I left YouTube initially, sort of like a year and a bit ago, was just because they have a kill switch. We've seen that exercised here and displayed, have we not? When I've been speaking, and they gave me a strike and shut down the whole live just because of a music violation, which it actually wasn't. And it's the only time out of the 7 channels that we've had lost that I actually won an appeal, because I was like, no, I quoted that song, and you could have also put in, and somehow we ended up having that. And so that video was there until I came back to YouTube, and then I deleted everything so they wouldn't, do that. I'm only back on these platforms because the Lord has told me to come back onto YouTube. He's also told me that, after a bit of prayer and a bit of thought, to go back onto Telegram and just put loads of bits of information. So you'll see a link that our Sherry will put in for you about our Telegram channel. I'm only able to put 50 sort of like posts up here a day. As and when the Lord leads, I will be putting more and more and more and more as we obviously approach the deadline for Australian brothers on the December 10th. All right. And it's really important that we sort of like, the Lord always provides a way around stuff. So all of a sudden I wasn't able to make videos on Rumble. The Lord tells me to come back here. It's literally like stepping stones, having to hop, skip and jump, trying to keep one step ahead of this beast system that's trying to silence us and kill us and all that kind of thing. We'll cover that in a bit, but just wanted to welcome you over there already, guys. I've put a few sort of like links in, trying to get into the flavor. It's going to take me a time to get into that rhythm. As many as my kind of like daily routine is I'm up in the morning, poof, there you go, article straight away, poof, off I go for a prayer walk, bam, I'm back from the prayer walk. Let's get the live prepared, all of the memes, all of the pictures, all of the other posts and everything else, and any other articles. Then we'll throw it all back up on there, and then I'm managing and preparing for the next sort of like day in the afternoon and evening, responding to you and your messages, as well as maintaining my own faith with the Lord on other prayer walks. So that's kind of like how it is. So please, if you are going to join us over at kind of like a Telegram, give me a little bit of time just to get back into the swing of another rhythm. I'm gonna have to be making videos on there, and I'll be able to put articles and memes and other things. Also, we are on X as well. We are also on Truth social media. We do have a channel called Grace Ministries, which is me as a therapist, sort of like giving you video talks and discussions around self-esteem, self-worth, bereavement, loss, addiction, abuse, etc. So all of that sort of stuff, with a bit of anxiety thrown in just to mix it all up, just to help you out with some practical interventions. Not me just having a bit of a jibber jabber moment, but actually saying, no, here's some breathing exercises, here's some Christian godly mindfulness exercises as well. So as a team, as a ministry, we're trying to do all that we can, not only to meet the needs of our brothers and sisters, but respond as the Lord sees us too. So that's the deal. There you go. We will be plugging and our Sherry as well. If you don't mind, Sherry, giving that to the other team members as well, relating to some of these additional links, please do come over and join us over on Telegram. I will be posting over there and duplicating, and you'll have to forgive me, duplicating some of that, especially the 10 or 20 or 30 that we end up doing, so that our brothers over in Australia and our sisters can access this as well. And so Australia has had a really bad time. I was able to even make a very short video earlier with just some other bits and bobs there, put in the gospel, put in our movie, put in some other things, some memes and pictures, just to get it all started up. So something for you to go and have a little look, see at. And so that's awesome. I'm not really annoying me that one hasn't come up. Yeah, thank you, Laurie. Thank you, Sherry. Yeah. So Sherry's put in the link there for you, which is our Telegram channel link. That's really helpful. And then obviously we've got Rumble as well. We've got 930 sort of like videos on our Rumble channel, guys. And so I'm aiming to sort of like match that, or at least try and catch up with it with Telegram, but do give me some time. So today, like I said, we are going to be looking at this article coming out from ukreloaded.com, which they titled, as I said, 18 days to die. But I thought it'd be better to say how we lost respect for life from birth to death and beyond. And so when we are looking at this government, this world that has a very much a depopulation agenda, one of the greatest ways for them to be literally doing that is via abortion. Even the New York mayor is pushing radical pro-abortion and pro-LGBT socialist agenda. Newly elected New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani supports unrestricted abortion, fully funded sex change treatments for all ages, and attacks crisis pregnancy centers. This guy is completely deliberately positioned and placed there. We're going to be having some memes and some images for you after our live put into the community section, just relating to some of the things that we are covering. I can't hold back, and I can't apologize if there's a little bit of a trigger warning or if a bit of a shock warning. As a Watchman's channel, we speak it out. So here we go. As a prime example, abortion up to birth campaign has been launched in Scotland. A new campaign is seeking to modernize abortion law and protect reproductive rights in Scotland. A coalition of charities and campaign groups have launched a new national initiative calling for the complete decriminalization of abortion. Here we go. Over in the US, Senator Hawley introduces a bill to ban abortion and child sex change surgery. Good for him. In Canada, Canadian study links abortion to severe mental illnesses in women. Back over to America, California Bill AB 495 lets strangers, we've covered this before, this is horrifying, guys, let strangers remove kids from school for gender surgeries, abortions without parental knowledge or consent. That is the bill AB 495. Okay, top doctor warns COVID jabs are chemical abortion drugs causing a miscarriage and the like. We've been speaking about the global genocide. This wasn't something Hitler just did for the Jews or for the political, undesirables or ethnic communities at all. No, this is like a global genocide. Every man, woman, and child indiscriminately has been targeted with that. They've had that over in the chemtrails. They've put that into the vaccines and in the food and in other lotions. No doubt they've put that into makeup as well, making sure that's also able to be absorbed in through the skin. We are seeing the sterilization of men and women having, miscarriages and various other ailments, infertility, as we've seen birth rates go down the toilet pan. Just watch and wait, guys, until you're starting to see nurseries, preschools, primary schools, all taking the hits when it comes to, them not being able to feel that. And then lo and behold, here you go. You've got Sam Altman, who's trying to come in, be all godlike and save the day with his sort of like clone babies and gene editing, trying to perfect everything in the terms of, creating children in that way. The monstrosity that we're seeing. Here we go. Study: women who take abortion pills 22 times more likely to die. Report: Democrats had over 1 million abortions in 2025. Got some statistics there for you for a little bit later. Colorado urged low-income pregnant mothers to get abortions to save money. How they love to deal in death, do they not? Justin Trudeau was renowned for saying it is imperative that teenage girls experience the bliss of abortion. Could you imagine that? As these guys sitting there drinking their, whatever they're drinking, the Kool-Aid, all right, coming out with these monstrosities to turn around to anyone and promote death in this degree. It is imperative that teenage girls experience the bliss of abortion. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has urged schoolgirls across Canada to experience the bliss of abortion in order to dispel any fears that they may have about the procedure. What do you do with that level of depravity? I'm on my prayer walk this morning, All right, and it's just like aircraft flying right over. It's like a grid, literally. One goes over, another one comes, all in the same direction, all probably having like a 5 mile distance in between them, so that they would be completely dispersing everything. And I was, ordinarily, if you're out and about, you probably wouldn't notice that. All right, because you'll be just like, look, oh, it's funny. There's another plane flying overhead, chemtrails. All right, but when you're there, like I am, for about three hours in the morning, walking around praying and praying and praying, you notice that it's like pew, 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 pew. And it's like the complete evil of it. This is what we've been saying to those that are behind, that are censoring our work. It's like you are also being poisoned. You are also being targeted. And the food and the water is equally being weaponized against you, unless you've been given some immunity jab with all of the chemicals that they're spraying up overhead. mRNA vaccines, Aerovax without your consent, or the aluminium, the barium, the carcinogenics, all the smart dust that we're bringing in or breathing in when it comes to fogvid. All right, you've got all of these things being used and weaponized against you in that way. The depravity of that, spraying this over schools, doesn't matter what religion you are, doesn't matter what age or what person you might be, or who it is that you even work for. We're going to target you and going to target you anyway. And unless these guys on the other end of the screen, except from you guys, have been given, don't go out at this time of the day, you don't want to take your dog out then, all right? And unless they've been given a whole complete and utter list of, don't eat that food, and don't drink that water, you probably don't want to go there. Or have they actually been given some sort of here you go, here's your Noah's Ark key. When it all goes down and we flip the switch, then there you go, you can get to safety, and here's your key and everything else. Here you go, you and your family are welcome to come along. Yesterday I spoke about it, and today I'm going to reinforce it. What I see is what I am seeing when I'm doing all of these articles, is that you've got the likes of Peter Thiel, Bill Gates, Sam Altman, Elon Musk, and Jeff Bezos. All of these guys, tech massive giants, they are all dropping, all right, their shares. They are cashing out. That ought to tell you something about the upcoming financial system. All right, when it comes to the CBDCs, they are all cashing out. They're getting rid of all of their shares so quickly. Why do you think that is? Because there's an inside job, false flag, 9/11, black swan event, as Klaus Schwab says, that is coming our way. So interesting, isn't it? It's like 12 months ago, we mentioned in other videos to evidence that Australia was going to be having the digital ID, and then now look what happens. In less than a month, they're not going to be able to access the internet without surrendering their digital ID. The imposition of such a thing, taking away everybody's rights and their freedoms, their privacies, just to be able to, for what? To be able to access Google that lies, that suppresses, that bullies, that harasses, that is literally demonic as you can get as a knowledge base, really? And not being able to access sort of YouTube or any other platform like Rumble. Completely, all of it's been chased after. I have the same thing. If I want to upload more than 5 posts a day for you guys, that's why you get 50, because I make the most of it. They want me to surrender, to their verification process. And I won't surrender to it. It wants to have a 6-second video clip of me. Really? 6 seconds? You can't find that from all of these lives? No. Because it's a particular software program that they've got for you. It's so that they can take your facial scan, your voice, your audio, your iris, so that they can connect everything up, throw it over to the B System supercomputer, add it to your digital twins so that you could be trapped and surveyed and everything else. But it also is about showing submission and subservience. And we can't do that, guys. So that's the reason why I'm going back to Telegram, because I love my Australian family down under. They're our brothers and they're our sisters. And if they're not going to be able to access that, then they can have information over on our Telegram channel. If you're in Australia, please do share our stuff. Please do promote that so that more of your, brothers and sisters and family members as well can have that for you guys. It is so important, because I won't yield to that either when it comes to the imposition of digital IDs. We're seeing it everywhere, aren't we? We're seeing digital IDs, and we're seeing the rollout of everything being biometric. So if I pay a bill, it will say, do you want to continue with or without biometric? Whatever. No, I don't. But it's getting us all groomed to this point. So far, I've got the choice to turn around and say, no, thank you. I've got no intention of giving you my face and everything else. It never blimmin' well works anyway, even when you are stupid enough to fall for that. It wants all of these things from you. So it's really important that we stand against these things, just like these guys. I'm so blessed that individual messaged us today, because now we're able to go and bless a whole continent, even if it is on one platform. And if you want to go over there, guys, as well, you are most welcome. But it is primarily set up for those that are going to be experiencing the tyrannies that no doubt will be coming your way. And these guys literally want to deal in death. They want to deal in destructions, lying and deceit. And how it is that we love the Lord Jesus Christ, who is the way, the truth, and the life. The gift of life, how precious and how valuable it is, all a way to just secure more people's fate into the pits of hell, is it not? Poisoning them so that they have an agonizing death, sterilizing them so they can kill off bloodlines, tracking and surveilling them. This is the nature of the beast. Continuing. 10-year-old has abortion after being raped by a migrant at refugee center in Italy. Japan warns Bill Gates his days are numbered after abortion drugs are found in vaccines. So this guy puts abortion drugs in vaccines. He puts depopulation chemicals in everything else, including your pet food, your hand and your lotions, and also now your dental floss, let alone the vaccines, let alone him being given permission to spray Aerovax over Canadians, over American cities, and over the UK, aptly turning around and naming our sort of like Aerovax poison, do you know what I mean, as Satan. Planned Parenthood to offer free vasectomies, no doubt, and abortions. Unbelievable, isn't it? Melinda Gates officially becomes world's largest abortion clinic donor. Then you wonder why they're cashing out and where they're putting their money there now. A pastor over here in the United Kingdom who was arrested for holding a biblical sign near an abortion clinic has been found guilty of breaching a public spaces protection order. So you get banned if you want to pray around there. Or like the other poor girl the other day had a placard literally saying, I'm here if you would like to talk. But no, you've got a pastor who had a board which read Psalm 139:13, for thou hast processed my reins, thou hast covered me in my mother's womb. And that is what got the guy arrested. Because they can't have a debate about it, can they? Cosmopolitan magazine promotes satanic abortion rituals. Why do you think so much of these, guys are so intent on these satanic rituals, like the Angelina Jolie's who wants to sort of like, deal with androchrome blood and everything of that sort? Then you've got all of these others that are getting really sketched out, aren't they, now with the Epstein files, all of the perversions. What they've been doing, wasn't it? Vladimir Putin turned around and saying, we're going to expose all these factories over in the Ukraine. Your vampire ball, as he said, is coming to an end. Bill Gates pumped 400 million. Now you know why he's dumping all of his money into new abortion vaccine for Africans. Justin Trudeau mocks Christians opposed to abortion and says, do a little more praying. These guys have no fear of the Lord, no fear of consequence whatsoever. Democrats to create sanctuary state for kids to get abortions and sex changes without parental consent. Gates Foundation insider admits COVID vaccines are abortion drugs to depopulate the world. Satanic Temple announces grand opening of free abortion clinic in New Mexico to perform rituals. Thought crime. Women arrested for praying silently near an abortion facility. It's absolutely inconceivable. I'm not going to get into oh well, you know, let's just try and find some common ground. No, I'm sorry, but abortion is murder. There's no way of just getting around it. And I'm not going to sort of like speak out. Excuse me. I'm not going to be speaking out against, you know, what actually happens in the, you know, medical procedure relating to the abortion. But if you discovered some of those and you did your research on it, you'd be appalled of how savage and barbaric it truly is. Do that to another human being. So that's abortions. This is one of their ways of making sure that they're killing us all off. Another great way that they do that over here in the UK, you have Kim Ledbetter, all right, the MP, who is literally turning around with her euthanasia bill, as well as over in America and in Canada. Please see how much we've been pumping out relating to the euthanasia bill and the medical assistance in dying bill. Canadian officials, here we go, praise euthanasia program as a huge success for organ harvesting. Why do you think they want to be doing this? Yeah, not only do they want to depopulate, but they're cannibals. They want to be drinking the blood. They want to be eating the heart. They want to try and get some longevity and some immortality out of these organs that they will eat, and then they will be drinking all of that. This is why you see all these, you know, rich and famous individuals sitting down with, like, you know, models all naked and then having food being placed upon them, just trying to normalize their sexual perversions. We talked around organ harvesting, have we not? Videos here on our Rumble channel relating to this. People going in for a sore toe and then being offered euthanasia, or they're a little bit out and then being told that their organs are going to be harvested without their consent. If you are over here in the UK, you have, with that, you know, unless you have opted out, you have agreed to have your body and your bits, you know, used for medical science. You are a donor, whether you know, unless you choose to opt out. Taking away the choice of this. Can you imagine that? Canadian officials praise euthanasia program. This is what Hitler did. Nothing's changed. Top doctor, US hospitals carried out mass euthanasia of COVID patients under secret protocols. Did the same thing over here in the UK. Didn't want people to be sort of like filming. Oh no! Oh, we're all so under such duress, and then you've got all these nurses dancing, yeah. And then look what they did to all of these channels that turned around and went through these wards that were absolutely, totally, and utterly empty. Being told that, oh, you know, you go and die on your own in solitude away from your family because the hospitals are so overrun. And then over here in the UK with the NHS, please see our videos on Rumble relating to this. They had doctors that weren't doctors, who were just random individuals just clothed in something, walking around, literally mass euthanizing people and then harvesting their organs with documents that were put onto their files that only those other individuals with codes and everything else would understand. This patient is to be killed. This one is to be, you know, sterilized, or whatever it was. There you go. These insiders are really brave, and doctors and nurses that spoke out against this. This is when it gets heartbreaking. And I mean, as if what we've said to you isn't heartbreaking enough. This is the Father heart of God, guys. All right. Not all this monstrous evil, but this is his heart that people are exposed for what it is that they are doing. You just imagine how many children per day, okay, in innocence, all right, and the vulnerable and the old and the less abled and the children and those that were killed before they were first born. Nothing's changed in history, has it? We're killing the firstborn. This is what breaks the Father's heart. Canada promotes euthanasia for kids with mental health issues without parental consent. it's inconceivable evil, inconceivable, twisted and sick that they want to offer death. What sort of like civilized society does that? NHS, here you go. NHS whistleblower, government secretly ordered millions of euthanasia drugs just before the pandemic. Canada legalizes for profit euthanasia for parents who regret having their baby. It's the same thing they're doing with the euthanasia bill, isn't it? Oh, right, we're going to hit you with loads of tax and all this sort of stuff. And then you get some of these old boys who are really sort of like, yeah, I don't want to be a trouble. I don't want to be a burden or whatever. If I take myself out and I top myself off and punch my own ticket, then it'd be great. Then my family will be able to have more money, more resources, more of all of that. It's just like, really? Do you go to nations like Japan, who really, and China even, that really respect and look after their sort of like elderly in that particular way? And here in Western world, we want to be turning around and saying, if you don't mind just topping yourself off because you're a little bit more inconvenient, and if you regret all of that, that's fine. Then don't have sex. Abstain from sex if you don't want babies. As simple as that. Here we go. Euthanasia clinics. This is what's also heartbreaking for the alphabet people. Euthanasia clinics are being inundated with transgenders who regret their surgeries. So it's like, you know, twist you around and they'll get into your head, won't they? You know, with the curriculum and the schools and the governments and everything else, so that children come back home puking up rainbows, and then it'll confuse everybody's sexuality and their identity, their gender, let them, you know, be wrapped in a fear blanket that they've got to fix the world because it's all falling apart. And then it's a case of, no, it's fine. There's not two genders. There's 72 according to these lots. And these guys go off having that because they're a little bit confused and they're just, you know, trying out their sexuality. They're testing the waters as such, finding out what they like, what they don't like, as every teenager does. They work these things out. Teenagers should not be getting so miserable and so depressed, but I'm not surprised that they are when they're having all these chemicals being sprayed over, these behavioral drugs over schools, putting that into the water, putting that into the school foods, weaponizing that in every other way as well, guys. Let alone the vaccines that they'll go taking into the schools and giving those guys as well, mandatory ones. It's absolutely inconceivable, isn't it? And here you have these transgender individuals who have, blessed them, who have been so confused. Oh, you can't turn to the counselling profession because they've got, you know, you got those bans. So you can't turn to anybody for help. So you've got Mark Carney who's doing all of this. You know, he's got his own child is sort of like changed in that sense. Came over here in the UK to Plymouth Clinic and had it done. This is just what's so sad, and they regret that, and you can't go back. This is why it's so tragic, is that these guys that deal with this death, this depopulation, euthanasia, abortion, with the exception of abortion perhaps, but for the most part is a case you can't come back from this. And my heart bleeds out for these guys, that not only are they confused when it comes to their sexuality and their identity, that they go and make these big decisions. They have a culture and a society who cheerleads them into all of it. And it's heartbreaking. These guys are literally then offered death. The mutilating of bodies, destroying the beautiful image of God in a child. And here you go. The French cocaine addict Macron wants to legalize euthanasia in France. It just goes around, doesn't it? This is the depopulation agenda, guys. This is what they will do in all of these different facets, in all of these different areas that we have and will be discussing. It is heartbreaking. I thought when I was like training to be a therapist, I would just have one person in front of me. And I thought that's going to be difficult enough, having a client that's maybe experienced some really disturbing presenting problems. But this is bigger than all of that, isn't it? This is global, national. This is not just one person. This is hundreds and hundreds of thousands each day. How the Lord can be just on his throne still and not just tearing it up and just saying, right, that's it, I'm done with these lot. I'm just done with these lot. And he will get to that. That long suffering component will go bye-byes. Again, we're coming back over to Canada. Canada to legalize child euthanasia without parental consent. You imagine that, waiting for your child to come back home. Oh, sorry, you get some like text message or some email from the school to say, no, they decided to go over here. The school ushered them all in, didn't tell the parents, you know, the kid was all, and then your kid's dead. Oh, you know, can I have the body then, please? No, sorry, they've all been, you know, organ harvested without consent. Oh, you didn't opt out of that. Oh, didn't you get the email? There was no email. What have you done with my could you imagine that? I would be in jail, seriously, if that happened to any one of my two daughters. I'm telling you right now, no way they live. Here you go. German Euthanasia Association says assisted death only allowed for the vaccinated. Oh, isn't that a privilege? Oh, isn't that something that you also want to be getting really down with? That's not, could that be any more elitist? Can we just say that? California, Senate passes euthanasia bill encouraging assisted suicide. What is all of this? And then you get the monstrosity that was Pope Francis. Hope he's burning up. I'm telling you that right now. Pope Francis legalizes euthanasia in Italy. You've got the same thing going on with this Pope Leo. He wants a two-state. He wants to get around with human fraternity. He's a walking, talking eco-warrior humper. All right? This is that guy. Okay? Only a matter of time until he starts rolling out the no-hide laws and starts going over to Abu Dhabi's Abrahamic family house and starts to have services and all this sort of stuff. You just wait. Belgium becomes first country to allow child to die by euthanasia. And these procedures never hardly work. Have all these really grand and beautiful, you know, death pods, as they call them. They look so cool and enticing. It's like, no, it's like a gas chamber. And in other cases, people have had to be suffocated because of it. And I care because people are going to hell, guys. We should. A young rape victim given euthanasia drugs by doctors. Healthy 75-year-old chose euthanasia because old age is awful. It's just like, could you just imagine? That's what they're doing, isn't it? Suppressing and oppressing, having all these drugs and bumming everybody else out, just like you would have with an upper or a downer or some other sort of like LSD sort of like drug that absolutely gets into your head with all of the sort of like microwaving of your brain and everything else with these frequencies and weaponizing all of that against you. Everything that's around them is dark and death and doom and gloom. Especially when it comes down to the whole concept of, you know, like the music, how depressing that is. The increase in suicides. You know, it's just like, you know, in the military, they don't do that. All of these war veterans, these heroes, they're not offered any sense of care. They're not offered any sort of like therapists. They're given like a one or 2 day seminar on what it's like to return to civil life, and that's it. And these guys come out with like PTSD. You know, I have a heart for them as ex-military myself. But are we not also, each one of us, in some way having a post-traumatic stress, you know, disorder pertaining to all of this? I know I'm traumatized. Just by doing this live, just by looking at this research, just by telling you, my brothers and my sisters, about this, because I am sensitive and I care about people. I really do care about them. And it's heartbreaking feeling so powerless that you can't do anything about it. 100 or 200 people seeing the video is not enough. I want this to reach those that are really getting to the end of their lives, the end of their tethers. I really, really do. And this is what I find really evil. All right. Celebrities that will come out and say what they say. And this is me sinking Katie Hopkins. All right. It's a great pleasure for me to do so because my ex-wife used to babysit her kids and she was at my wedding. Really didn't like the woman then, really don't like her now, especially when she comes out and says this. All right. She's controlled opposition. She's got a huge network on, you know, sort of like Bonkers Britain. She's got over here on YouTube exposing all of the digital ideas and everything else. And, you know, she's sort of like running her mouth off when it comes to, oh, I'm being arrested for this, and speech and digital IDs, and all of these bees are falling around, all these chemtrails. She's really are there, right? But this is me uncloaking that witch. Katie Hopkins said euthanasia vans could deal with old people in the UK. Media personality Katie Hopkins claims the UK has far too many old people and says she would be super keen on euthanasia vans to tackle the problem. So when you got these people that are turning around, and she was on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. All right. I'm a Christian, get me out of here. Can I just add to that? All right, you get these celebrities and these individuals that do that, the Angelina Jolie's with the blood drinking, with the Nicole Kidman when it comes to the insect eating, with the Idris Elba with the WEF and the, you know what I mean, everything pertaining to, you know, Agenda 2030s and Leonardo DiCaprio. These monsters, boycott them all. Belgium doctors give healthy women green light to die with euthanasia. Deadly double standards. Why is the World Health Organization saying no to suicide, but yes to assisted dying? Oh, it's because of drugs, darling. And who gets the money and who gets that? And this is it. This is how you treat your veterans. Canadian government announces plans to euthanize military veterans to cut costs. Canada, 1.2 trillion. Depopulation plan explodes. Government plot to euthanize 14.7 million citizens has been uncovered. According to a recent publication in the Journal of Death and Dying, Health Canada has unveiled a plan for saving lives that is as brutal as it is unprecedented. 1 trillion depopulation plan. Starting off with their own citizens, 14.7 million to be murdered. So when I'm putting these posts up, guys, voila. We talked about euthanasia, medical assistance in dying. We talked about abortion. Let's talk about depopulation, shall we? Do you remember Jane Goodall, the WF insider who called for extreme global depopulation? Well, she's dead. Why can't depopulation start with these guys? She was the one who turned around and says, you know, in a very sort of like, almost sort of like nanny voice, you know, I would just really love there to be less people, and if they could just all die without any pain, that'd be great. Denmark apologized to Greenland for its forced depopulation campaign. Bill Gates, Trump has put our depopulation agenda at risk. No, he hasn't. Bill Gates launches Global Depopulation Alliance. So you've got to dump some of your stock to set up some of these monstrosities. Could you imagine that, right? Putting you on your CV. I work for Global Depopulation Alliance. Wow. You murderer. All to combat, apparently, global boiling. Bill Gates has unveiled the Global Depopulation Alliance, funneling 1.6 billion to Gavi, all right, to promote jabs under the guise of combating so-called global boiling. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation plan, rooted in Gates' TED Talk vision of culling billions through vaccines, is targeting India, Africa, and the developing world, with jabs causing infertility, heart attacks, strokes, and miscarriages. Talked about his wife, didn't we? And here we go. Peter Thiel, Bilderberg elites add depopulation to their official 2025 agenda. The depopulation idea literally has been out for quite some time, but it was a real loved, brainchild again of the Club of Rome. They came up with a book called The Limits to Growth. Please go to X and just put Ursula von der Leyen limits to growth or Club of Rome, and she's saying it right away. They also come up with a climate lie. covered that yesterday. But it also came out plagiarizing from the prophet Daniel, the last 10 kingdoms, covered that as well. Please see for yourself. But these Bilderbergs, these elites, RFK announces new vaccine committee to investigate depopulation agenda. Are you kidding me? I would have done this in less than a week. I would have had a whole team of scientists, shut down these pharmaceutical companies, stuck them all under, warmed them all up, got all the data. Every single person connected to you that you arrested, you're gone, you're done. Same thing with the chemtrails. Every single plane I want documented. I want military aircraft flying and escorting all of these guys. I want the same thing when it comes to the food and to the water. You could get this done in a week if they had a will and a desire. But this is what they do. They run interference. Okay, this is controlled opposition. All right, pitting them against this person, that person, to fool us all off, to think that there are some justices that are being done. RFK is a walking, talking version of. Okay, controlled opposition. This is the guy that wants to give every single American wearables so that they can be tracked and tested. Continuing, World Health Organization toxicologist blows whistle. Elite are killing scientists who expose the depopulation agenda. I appreciate your prayers. Do you know what I mean? You know, seriously. Yeah, we said it before, didn't we? Bill Gates caught spiking pet vaccines with depopulation drugs. Yesterday, we also covered top climate scientist confesses net zero is a depopulation scam. God destroys the earth, not man. All right, let's have a little look. See, some of you guys have been here. Bless you. Thank you so much for the pleasure of your company, guys. I really do value you coming in and checking in. I know this isn't easy, and please forgive me. We will end on the good news. But thank you. If you haven't heard already, there's kind of like 4 videos. Why have you given me that, man? That's really done my nut. All right. Go over and see those videos. They're there in the chat for you. And we're also on Telegram. I'm not going to repeat it, but yeah, we're back there now. Thank you. Great. Thank you, Laurie. Hi, Cher. Good to see you. Hi, Mian. Blessings. Just got home from work. Good to see you. Yeah, absolutely, Laurie. Didn't they pass that law in California regarding parents and having no rights regarding their children? Absolutely. This is part of the Agenda 2030 goals, isn't it? When we put it up, the state will raise your children. This is what it's about by coming up with all of these monstrous laws. You know, it's a case of, wow, you know, I'll read that out in a minute just to refresh you. And as we do so, just bear in mind all of these other procedures. They're making their crimes legal. Yeah, absolutely, Cher. Well said. Satan is actually loving this, no doubt, rubbing his hands together, thinking more for me. Yeah, Justin Trudeau. Yeah, another WEF lucky. This is all it, isn't it? This is what you get when you get Klaus Schwab turning around and says, what we do is we're very proud of is that we, you know, infiltrate all of the governments. Sorry, that was a bit of a British accent, but you know what I mean? You know, I don't want to offend my German brothers and sisters by trying to pretend to put up some Nazi Germany sort of like, you know, I mean, voice that guy is. But no, he was also bragging and boasting about how the whole of the Canadian, you know, members of parliament were infiltrated WEF young global, you know, losers. As well as like the Putin and everything else as well. They're all in it. What does the holy word of God say? Okay, Revelation 17:13. They are all of one mind, and they give their power to the beast, doing what the beast tells them to do. Go and kill, go and maim, go and confuse, go and depopulate. Take as many as you can down with them. You know what I mean? And this is the whole point. And why my prayers get him to sort of like screams of agony with the Lord in the morning. Because I'm just like, Lord, if you tarry for longer, there is going to be no one left for you to rule or reign over. There's going to be no one. Not by the time that you finish your seals, bowls, and trumpets and 2 witnesses, there's going to be nobody left. You have to be coming back soon, Jesus, because we cannot continue like this. But yet knowing as well, we will be here for a bit. Hi, Alison. Bless you. Me, I love where your head's at. My neighbor just put up Christmas lights on his house. Telling you right now, I'm exactly where you are with that. I am. I'm just like, nah, man. No. That Santa. No. Oh, they did this like 3 months ago. Near enough at the end of August, they started putting up Christmas crap. I'm like, come on, just commercializing it all the way to steal the focus and attention away from the Lord Jesus. He's the reason for the season. Do the same thing with the stupid Easter bunny as well, and that lot, don't they? Straight after Christmas, in fact. I mean, before, on Boxing Day, they will start pumping out Cadbury's cream eggs. I'm like, come on, can't stand all that commercialized absolute nonsense. Oh, I don't, I get really bummed out by that. And it's cold and it's wet and it's dark and it's miserable. Ugh, get all these idiots that do that, man. Same thing with Halloween as well. And pumpkins in your window. I'm like, just get a grip. Just get a grip. Y'all, these guys just don't get it, man. Hey, Sub-Zero, bless you. Recycling also costs more and uses more energy than placing the items in a landfill. I love that. I love that, because you know where I'm at with it, because I'm all about recycling. I love recycling. I do. Just can't get enough of it. If I can find anything around the house as I'm decluttering, I'm like, oh, I get to recycle. Not. I love that. Wasn't Bill Gates dead, head of Planned Parenthood? Yes, he was. And there's a meme in the thing for you to come with the sort of like, I'll leave it as a surprise for you. All right. This just absolute masterful sort of like meme. Whoever come out with that deserves, in my opinion, some meme award, because it was absolutely genius. And it was photographed at such a beautiful angle. So watch out for the Planned Parenthood. Yes, indeed he was. Yeah, like father, like son. Ugh. Hi, Popple Backyard Farm. Please sub to our friends over there. Bless you. Hi, Michael. Welcome. Welcome to you. Looking very bling there, my friend. Suited and booted. Got to respect that. Oh, absolutely. God, little helpers. One thing you don't understand is that we are all owned by the king, sold by mothers to a person she don't even know. Yeah, absolutely. This world is absolutely disgusting. It is. Can you just imagine how beautiful the reign of the Lord Jesus is going to be? These are the guys that want to serve the father of lies, who steals, kills, and destroys. I just can't get over anybody placing their hope and their trust in any of that and thinking that that's okay. These megalomaniacs, these psychotic individuals, they are sick in the head, really are. These elites that just think, right, we are the 1%. We are going to murder and execute and kill off 99% of the planet. Who, do you know what I mean? No military leader has ever been that so ambitious, other than Lucifer, whom they serve. Oh, me and saying here, look, I spoke to a doctor and they told me they have not had one patient in the convict ward. He said we are being lied to and it's all fear-based. That woke me up. Absolutely. It's the same thing here. It's just like nonsense, wasn't it? It's all lies. And then they want to have the audacity to turn around and try and tell us that what we speak of is disinformation or misinformation. It's like, no, that's transference. It's also called denial, might I add. Thank you for putting that up there, Sherry, the links. Bless you guys. It is heartbreaking, Laura. Bless you. It isn't easy hearing all this stuff, but could you imagine what this must be like for Father God? Yeah, Laurie's saying here, like, I stopped watching all the movies. So have I. I will see what's going on. And I'll have a little look-see as to what's going down with it. Because I'm not supporting those individuals. I'm not putting money in their back pockets. I'm not gonna have that. Not at all. They are repugnant human beings. They serve. That's why Sometimes I will have a conflict in my heart and in my spirit where it's like, Dan, that's not okay. But when I'm seeing these things fly over in such, precision, perfectly sort of like distance between each other over a period of like an hour or two, I'm like, Jesus rebuke you, Jesus rebuke you. I hope that content ends up going back into your cockpit, bruv, and you choke on it. Because what you're doing to innocent people, I do not have it in my heart. And forgive me, Lord, for not being like, our Lord bless them, our Lord save them. I do not. You want to wage war on innocent people like that? I cannot abide by it. You want to wage war on God? I can't abide by it. That's my non-negotiable. You own what you do as being stupid and evil. God bless you. Outside of that, I can't. Hope they go down and crash upon impact. I really do. They're poisoning people overhead. Got no time for it. Good for you, Michael. Completely disassociated from this wicked world in every aspect. God has been refining and sanctifying me His wonderful ways. I love that, brother. All right, because that's exactly what I was saying the other day. It's like, this is why I'm so glad that the Lord sort of like tarried a little bit relating to this, because I've been able to get my house in order. My house in order isn't just a case of trying to, make sure that I've left behind stuff or foods or whatever. My house in order is me inside, things going on in my sort of like life. All right. So before we get into the article, guys, as always, I kind of do a little bit of a prep beforehand. And here we go, continuing with this theme. The World Economic Forum has a plan for degrowth, which is another term for its sustainable development. They are both euphemisms for depopulation. It's Agenda 2030. You are the carbon footprint that they want to erase. The elites, backed by institutions like the World Health Organization and the WEF, are actively pursuing population reduction under false pretenses, lies, climate change, public health with vaccines, AI, and societal destabilization as primary tools. COVID-19 mRNA injections have caused an estimated 100 million deaths worldwide, per Dennis Rancourt's research, with additional harms like infertility, myocarditis, and neurological damage. Pharma giants Pfizer, Merck operate as serial felons with impunity, targeting pregnant women and children. Corporations like Tesla plan to replace human labor with 100 million robots by 2030. Same thing Jeff Bezos doing also with Amazon, and having 600,000 workforce being cut and being replaced by these humanoid robots, as well as artificial intelligence. Despite RFK Jr.'s HHS role, agencies remain captured by Big Pharma. Even political allies, for example, President Donald Trump, betray anti-establishment rhetoric by profiting from the medical industrial complex. Aren't we seeing that? Solutions include natural immunity, detox protocols, grassroots resistance, and tools like Bright UAI to bypass censorship. The fight demands sovereignty, truth, and defiance against digitalized enslavement. Couldn't agree more with that at all. So when I'm saying about RFK Jr. and him being controlled opposition, this guy turns around and says, quote, Operation Warp Speed was an extraordinary accomplishment. So, when it comes to those that are so loyal, blindly loyal to Donald Trump. Quote, I hope everyone remembers when they're getting the COVID-19 vaccine that if I wasn't president, you wouldn't be getting that beautiful shot for 5 years at best. And I probably wouldn't be getting it at all. Talked about, have we not? Medical assistance in dying. Not one person, not a single one of us regretted not taking the COVID vaccine. In fact, we become increasingly grateful that we didn't fall for it. All right, this is where I want to come back to the Agenda 2030 goals. All right, and I'm going to break it down this time just to show you how 5 years is all that they have got in order to fulfill this, which is why I think we're out of here in 2032/2033. I'm not seeing anything regarding these guys pushing it, any further. But this is what we've got. UN, and I'll put it in for you later, but I'm going to describe it. One world government. This is part of the Agenda 2030 goal. Tell me that the World Economic Forum with the 666 behind isn't a one world government. How about the One World Summit, One World Government Summit? All right. We know that there's a one world government when it comes to Revelation 17:13, all of them being in one mind and giving their power to the beast. Ain't nobody in opposition anymore. That's what they try and have to facilitate and recreate, so that you're duped in the fact that I'm against you and you're against me, Zelensky and Putin. Really? They're both global graduates on the blower to each other, just like all of these other guys are. Musk is against, Gates, and Gates is against Altman, and Altman's against Thiel. Come on. Think we're that stupid? They're all in on it together. So that's the first one. How about this? One global controlled cashless currency. Oh, well, they're really making it difficult for people to be, sort of like able to withdraw cash, sticking limits on that, making it illegal for it, so that there's a cashless society. No longer going to be able to put money into sort of like Christmas cards or birthday cards. No longer be able to give to the homeless or to those that are in need of that. Going to have everything monitored and tracked and traced. Yeah, we're seeing that pushed, aren't we? How about one global central bank? How about that? If you're over here in Europe, welcome to the euro dollar that's now getting ready to be rolled out. And then what about all of these central bank digital currencies as well that are being, piloted and being trialed with the UAE and China most recently, let alone a year and a half ago when they had 6 pilot studies all around Europe trying out the CBDCs, and how close we are to all of that. How about the one global military? Please see our post today relating to Europe and that particular army being formed. We're seeing all of this, aren't we? When it comes to the United Nations, yeah, they'll probably scrap that, all right, and then replace it with something else. Here we go. The end of national sovereignty. Well, an open border, an open door policy will see to that. We'll flood those with Muslims and those evil individuals, all right? When it comes to that, mixing up the identity so that they haven't got their sovereignty anymore. Trying to set up Sharia law. It's evil. The end of national sovereignty. We are seeing that absolutely everywhere. Seeing it with the Club of Rome when it comes to the UK rejoining Brexit, that we voted to leave, that this Prime Minister wants to get us back into. The end of national sovereignty. It's the same thing that happened in America when it came to, sort of like the inauguration, removing all of the American flags and everything like that. What they're doing over here with banning and doing all of that. Oh, it makes everyone feel a little bit uncomfortable. Please get a grip. You're in that country, deal with the fact that they're going to fly from the rafters their own flag. If that upsets you, back the truck up. I would suggest the end of national sovereignty. Club of Rome's 10 Kingdoms, stealing it from the Prophet Daniel. End of all private owned property, except for some elites, so they can just buy it outright, can't they? That end of all private owned property is the government turning around with all these incentives. Right, well, we'll own 95% of your house, we'll help you buy, they'll say to these, sort of like young married couples or whatever, and we'll help you out, but you don't own it, the banks own it. You can't buy all of this. All of these companies that are buying up all these houses, that are buying up all of these lands so that you can't have them. How we're seeing that, aren't we? How about the end of the family unit? I will make divorce real easy for you. Do you know what I mean? We'll demasculate men so that they'll be parentally alienated from their children. All right, we're seeing the assault on masculinity, aren't we? Seeing the assault on the women as well and their identities, putting a huge amount of strain on them, trying to manage a home, trying to manage a ministry and a family and a marriage and everything else. The pressure that's on those guys, don't give us that time to facilitate a relationship or a marriage or make it work or invest in it. Not when you're working 70 hours a day, not when your children at school for 40 hours of the week, let alone the distance it takes to travel there and back, let alone all their homework. The end of the family unit. We're seeing that, aren't we? How about depopulation, control of population growth and density? I think I've covered that so far. Endless mandatory vaccines. Well, 72 aren't enough for the children. We'll have to start in the womb, says Bill Gates. How about the universal basic income? Austerity. Well, we've got half of that over here in the UK when it comes to universal credit. We're one step away from the universal basic income. How about what they're doing with the snap over in America, making you dependent and reliant upon the system for your basics, as they want to be giving billions and trillions of pounds to the climate lie. Microchip society for trade, travel, tracking and control. Well, all of our pets, cats and dogs are microchipped anyway. You get fined a fortune over here in the UK if you're found not to have that. We want that to, sort of like mess with these global forces that'll be chasing, sort of like people around during the tribulation. We're seeing that, aren't we? The microchipping of society. This is what we're seeing when it comes to, Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos. Brain computer interface. That's an injectable microchip into your brain. That's worrying, isn't it? So it can read your thoughts. Next type of surveillance going in under your skin. Please do keep abreast of these, sort of like articles that we put out pertaining to Neuralink, pertaining to, this sort of like dangling carrot when it comes to incentivizing individuals to be taking this. We're seeing that. The implementation of a world social credit score system. They've already got this risk and reward to those that are compliant. If you bow down to YouTube's, sort of like community guidelines, you bend over and pucker up, all right? Okay, then you can be rewarded. We'll give you a huge amount. We'll circulate your videos. We won't put any restrictions on them whatsoever. But if you dare speak out against our guidelines, we're going to slap you down, man. We're going to shadow ban you. We're going to blacklist you. We're going to set AI against you. We're going to set our algorithms against you. And then we'll have a team of individuals who will be running interference on you personally, telling me that there's not already a reward and punishment system in the form of a social credit score system. Please. The Internet of Things. Everything hooked up to 5G monitoring. Well, we're seeing all of that, aren't we? Without our consent with these 5Gs, with the frequencies, weaponizing everything in that sense. When it comes to the Internet of Things and the Internet of Bodies, that's what the vaccine was, wasn't it? Self-assembly, nanotechnology. In you go. Metal test, there to confirm. Continuing, the government raises the children. Well, we'll just kill them off. We'll just send them to be mutilated in some surgery without your consent. We'll monopolize them for all of this time away from the family unit. All right, and then we'll lie and we'll teach them deceit and dishonesty with our made-up curriculum. Yeah, it was all in a Big Bang, sweetheart. Yeah, it was all about the walking, talking monkeys, didn't you know? And lie and deceive your children. They're the ones that have that. And when they're so addicted to their devices, that's it. You're really allowing, the government to be sort of like raising your children, aren't you? Government owned and controlled schools, just covered. End private transportation. No more owning cars, etc. They'll be banning all of that with the ULEZ, ultra low emission zones in London. God bless the Blade Runners that go around going. God bless them. This is what we're seeing, guys. Here we have restrictions on non-essential air travel. Yeah, and part of the 2030 goals will be, right, you're only allowed to travel 1,500 kilometers every 3 years. You won't be able to see your family. This is why they're doing all these crashes and everything else, as these guys, ponce about on private jets. All businesses owned by government corporations. Are we not seeing that through privatization? So you get all of these, gas and electricity and water companies, all right, that are completely privatized. They can charge whatever they like, whatever they like. And there's nothing you or I can do about it. But they'll go and give billions away to the Ukraine and allow British people to starve and to freeze in the winter. Continuing, settlement zones, concentration of humans in cities only. You just wait until they drop a few nukes here and there, make the natural environment inhospitable. You just wait until they start herding and putting everyone into these smart cities, 15-minute dungeons. Continuing, end of private farms. Aren't we seeing that when it comes to the fishing? Aren't we seeing that when it comes to 13 nations and growing that have abandoned farming? They're all because of all of the taxes. And what about all of the livestock? Oh, at Bavaria, it's amazing how cows all of a sudden get well when they stop taking that, and how deadly all of that stuff is. You know, mRNA is being put into horses and to animals as well. All right, let alone what we read earlier about Bill Gates with pets and the like. Restricted land use, end of single family homes. Seeing that, aren't we? And then the ban of natural non-synthetic drugs and medicines won't permit you to have your oils or your natural sort of like remedies. They'll outlaw that because they want you to be dependent upon pharmakeia. That is the Agenda 2030 goals. They've got 5 years to finalize that off. So for me, I'm suspecting that they will kick off a false flag Black Swan 9/11 inside job to push over the rest of these and install the CBDCs and the social credit score rating system, and then usher everybody in. It only takes one nuke over in America, couple over, one over in Europe, and then one maybe over in Asia somewhere. And then all of a sudden you've got the forced vaccinations. Oh, you've got this radiation. Oh, you, for your safety, we're going to house you all here. And then we'll put you on a train. Oh, you ain't going to go to a smart city, bruv. Yeah, don't be fooled by that, baby. We're going to be sending you to a re-education camp if that's poignant for you, or a labor camp if you're really lucky, or we'll just send you to a death camp, just like they did with the Jews. Then you find that really, really telling. I find it quite telling how history shows that we were a lot healthier before the likes of Fauci and Bill Gates were born. Oh, that is such a clever. I'll leave that there for you. Okay, let's get into the article. I think we've covered that in some depth, haven't we, guys? Excuse me. Let's have a look at today's article coming out from ukreloaded.com. Thank you guys for being here. All right, how we lost respect for life from birth to death and beyond. Just when you think it can't get any worse, it does. Each week brings another step into a culture that has stopped valuing human life. I've said before that we are living in a death cult, and the evidence just keeps on mounting. We no longer respect human life or cherish it, let alone any sense of its sanctity. I feel a grief deep in my bones. It is heartbreaking that we have reached this point. Here are 3 examples from birth and death to beyond. First, abortion is now effectively decriminalized until full term. The horror is plain. A woman can abort a baby at any point for any reason right up to 9 months without fear of punishment. Now, the SNP proposes that abortion on the basis of sex should be allowed. We know what that leads to. Baby girls are aborted in cultures which prefer boys to girls. It has happened in India and China, where the resulting demographic imbalance has warped their societies. It is staggering to see supposed feminists argue that a woman's right to abortion at any stage of the pregnancy for any reason is desirable, even though it will mean many baby girls not being born. Hello. When a culture that once valued the individual weakens, it is inevitably pushed aside by cultures that do not value the individual at all, but are strong enough through sheer force and will. So what's next? Will we argue for the right of families to inflict female genital mutilation on their daughters? Or the right of parents to leave unwanted baby girls at the dump? What is the meaningful difference between aborting a female fetus and murdering a baby girl? The reality is not much aside from a few short weeks. Second, There is the assisted dying bill, which has now rejected more vital safeguards than can be counted. Worse, new amendments are creeping in. One amendment tabled by Lord Burton, Lord Panic, proposes that the day after a doctor raises the option of ending your life, you must be assigned a personal navigator by an assisted dying help service. They would like to mandate a maximum timeline of 30 days or 18 days to death. 18 days. There is no cooling off period for someone reeling from a terminal diagnosis, and we know how inaccurate those diagnoses can also be. Esther Ranson is Exhibit A. In 18 days hardly allows clinicians to consider whether someone needs suicide prevention or suicide assistance. But let's be honest, suicide prevention will be for the birds if this bill passes. The NHS cannot pretend to prevent suicide while also promoting and fast-tracking it. It cannot be committed to preserving life and restoring health while running parallel machinery to end lives early. I've tried to be balanced about the assisted dying bill because I sympathise deeply with people who are terminally ill and suffering. Yet no such personal navigator exists for anything else you might present with: birth, cancer, Parkinson, Alzheimer's, major surgery, you name it. It is extraordinary that this level of bureaucratic zeal is reserved only for ushering people to death. Frankly, at this stage, it seems the bill proponents want to kill people off as quickly as possible. Another amendment proposes screening patients at A&E for a quick death pathway. Now you know why I won't go into these environments, the hospitals. You go into an AE because something's happened and you're already being screened for a quick death. Well, can we take this guy's organs? Can we take his blood? Can we take this? Can we just, kill him off? I will think very carefully before I will think very carefully before taking a loved one to A&E in the future. My mother was given 1 to 5 years to live in 2013. She is still alive today. Imagine an elderly person with some cognitive decline, in pain or distress, taken to A&E. Imagine them being asked if they want to have assistance ending their life. And imagine the whole thing being over in 18 days. Or imagine someone else taking them to A&E, like a really greedy relative that wants to cash in and have their inheritance. You might not even know that they were assisting him dying until after the fact. Third, the final insult to the meaning and value of life. Callum Worthy, co-founder of the two-way app, asked on X, what if the loved ones we've lost could be part of our future? The company appears to be planning to offer mourners an AI surrogate of their dead loved ones through an app. At present, the app offers AI avatars of fictional people and historic figures. The great William Shakespeare is reduced to a digital marionette as two-way cashes in on his genius. This is cheap enough, but what has gone wrong when a human being would settle for an uncanny valley copy of someone they loved? We are not supposed to escape our grief. It is visceral. It howls. It lasts longer than we could ever imagine. And it is the price we pay for love. Grief is love. But the cure for grief is to grieve, not to seek shallow solace in the cold blue light of an AI simulacrum. And two-way proposes the wrong answer to the right question. Perhaps Our loved ones are part of our future in the afterlife. For people of faith, many of the bleak conundrums of our age make more sense as faith illuminates the way. Life has value at birth, at death, and after. Death is a career move if you love Jesus. It really is the best one you can make. But equally, you do not need religion to understand solely that human life matters, nor to recognize that our dead loved ones leave lasting traces in our lives without the necessity for a stupid dumbass app. Many humanists and atheists have built ethical systems based on human dignity, reason, compassion, and the irreducible worth of the individual. You can reject any belief in an afterlife, yet still fiercely defend the preciousness of life and the moral duty of the living to care for one another. Yet things are not at their worst. History shows we have seen darker times. Human beings as collateral damage is nothing new. The Aztecs tore the hearts from thousands in ritual sacrifice. Communist China and the Soviet Union killed millions in famines, purges, and labor camps. Britain once executed people for theft or forgery. In the orphanages of the past, death was so common that children were effectively counted as losses in a ledger. Humans drift into death cults with predictable regularity. History and fiction alike show it. We are treated as raw material units, flesh to be used, discarded when inconvenient. We cannot fight death. We all die because death is a part of life. Yet, recognizing that death is inevitable does not mean we must surrender to a culture that devalues life while we are still alive. The choice is ours, collectively and individually, to reassert the worth of each human being, to see every child, every patient, every loved one not as a statistic or collateral damage or a pathway or a foam toy, but as a life to be protected, nurtured, and celebrated. Reverence for life is not sentimental. It is a moral imperative. It is the only counter to the bureaucracies, technologies, and ideologies that treat humans as disposable. It is the only response to the rush towards expediency, to the fast tracking of death. We must remember that grief, suffering, and care are the measures of our humanity. Read that out again. We must remember that grief, suffering, and care are the measures of our humanity. To grieve is to love. To care is to insist that life matters. Every act of attention, compassion, and defense of life is a rebellion against the death cult that surrounds it. So yes, we die, but how we live offers true sanctuary for human dignity from birth to death and beyond. We must revere life and its gift. Can't applaud that enough, really. Very interesting article coming out there from ukreloaded.com. All right, 18 Days to Die. It was titled as, but I've renamed it as being How We Lost Respect for Life from Birth to Death and Beyond. So interesting, isn't it? Bear with me, guys, as I just type in something. Just want to read out some scripture now, if I may. Not that one. It's rubbish, that one is. Sorry. Should have had this earlier, but it just popped into my head. Here we go. We read in John 14:6, Jesus said to him, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have eternal life. John 11:25, Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, though he die, yet shall he live. And everyone who lives and believes in me shall never die. So important, the gift and the preciousness of life. John 6:35, Jesus said to them, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me shall not hunger, and whoever believes in me shall never thirst. John 10:10, the thief, the enemy, Lucifer, the low-life scumbag of an archangel that he is. John 10:10, the thief only comes to steal and kill and destroy. But I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. Romans 12:2, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and is perfect. John 8:12, again, Jesus spoke to them saying, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. Galatians 2:20, I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. And the life I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. Amen. Genesis 2:7, then the Lord God formed the man of dust from the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living creature. Proverbs 21:21, whoever pursues righteousness and kindness will find life, righteousness and honor. Some magnificent scripture here. James 1:12, blessed is the man who remains steadfast under trial, for when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life, which God has promised to those who love him. As we were saying before, it's not a case of trying to, escape suffering. We read suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope. Shouldn't bypass those things. They're our teachers. They really are. As to many of you guys as well that have had difficult lives as well, God trained you so that you could fight easy. John 11:25. Sorry, forgive me, wrong one. Matthew 6:25, and we'll end on this. Therefore I tell you, do not be anxious about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, nor about your body, what you will put on. It is not life more important than food, and the body more than clothing. Just some really beautiful scriptures here. This is, the complete polar opposites, isn't it? To the light to the darkness, how Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. Yeah, okay. And whom the Son sets free is free indeed. To the opposite of like Satan, who's a liar, a thief, and a murderer. And it's a case of whom is it that you are going to serve? Which table is it that you will sit at, because you cannot sit at two? Thank you so much, guys, my brothers and my sisters, for the pleasure of your company. I will be putting in that article into the kind of like video description box for you. It's coming from ukreloaded.com. Additionally, there will also be a couple of posts that will just follow this relating to what we've discussed again today, giving you a bit of a visual image. There's 3 or 4 videos here in the top chat for you as well, pertaining to this, a society that literally wants to normalize death and darkness and the like as well. And as I've been saying as well earlier in the live, we are again on Telegram, just because our Australian brothers and sisters, with effect from December the 10th, will not be able to access YouTube, Google, or any other social media platforms without submitting their identity. And the only thing that they're able to use is sort of like Telegram over there. So we're back on Telegram. Please put us on mute so you don't get annoyed with us annoying you at stupid o'clock, and then look out for more there. Thank you so much to our team, our mods, and the rest of the team behind the scenes as well. And thank you guys as well for the wonderful pleasure of your company. I do pray the Lord's blessings over you now and later when I go on my prayer walk as well, that the Lord would bless you, that the Lord would keep you, and that the Lord will cause his face to shine upon you and overwhelm you with then some of his magnificent peace. God bless you guys. And we will be back tomorrow, because ordinarily you would take Saturdays off, but because I have to do some errands, I took Tuesday. So we're going to be plowing on through over the course of the week. So look forward to speaking to you tomorrow, unless the Lord rescues us all from this cesspool, and then we can deedly and bug out and meet in the air. Till then, God bless. Bye.